ankle mobility makes or breaks your squat. My 63-year-old client could not sit in a low squat without falling over backwards. Fast forward only 2 weeks later, and look at her, sitting in a low squat, stronger, more mobile than ever. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how she got there in only 2 weeks. Real quick, first, why does ankle mobility matter? 1, how far your knees can travel over your toes determines how upright your torso can stay in a squat. And 2, your ankle mobility determines if your weight can stay over your midfoot. It becomes a counterbalance, being can you keep more of your weight over your midfoot to prevent you from falling backwards. Plus, did you know that science shows that good ankle mobility reduces the risk of injury in the knees and hips as well? So here's our 2-step process. Number 1, we gotta stretch out the Achilles, which is right here, and into your calves. This is gonna open up space in the back of your ankle to allow that dorsiflexion to happen a little bit more. Go ahead and grab a heavy weight. If you don't have this, no problem. You can still do this unweighted. If you do have a weight, you're just gonna put it on top of your knee because that's just gonna allow you to come a little bit more forward into this stretch. We now feel the stretch right through here, back of the ankle and up into the calf. If you don't have a weight, no problem. You're just gonna go ahead and place a hand there and just think about using your body weight to push yourself a little bit more forward. You're gonna have to use your torso to get a little bit of a deeper stretch, but that's okay. We can make that work. Once we're in the stretch here, we're gonna take some really deep breaths. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're stretching is not sitting in it for long enough. Anybody who's really flexible can tell you, it did not happen by stretching for 10 to 30 seconds and then getting out of it. People who are very mobile know that if you stay in that stretch for 1 to 2 minutes, you're gonna get so much more out of it. 6 months from now, the difference is huge between if you sit in it for 30 seconds or if you sit in it for 1 to 2 minutes. So there's your warning. Don't take it for granted. Use the time. Next, we're gonna create a little of activation. So since we've been sitting in the stretch for a while, I want you to now press the pads of your toes into the ground. As you press the pads of your toes into the ground, your Achilles lights up. Everything that was just being stretched now feels activated. This is really important because we're bringing blood flow to that tissue, which is going to aid you in opening it up faster. Now go ahead and relax that contraction. Stop pressing the pads of your toes into the ground. And when you relax it, you're going to find you can get a little bit deeper into that stretch than you had before we did that contraction. Let's do that one more time. Press the pads of your toes down into the ground. We're creating activation up through the Achilles. Keep pressing here. We want to give it a pretty good drive. It should feel like strength training. It should feel like that tissue is working really hard. Relax it. And again, we can sink a little bit deeper into the stretch after that activation. Take a breath. And we'll come out of it. All right, we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So go ahead, get into your stretch. Place your weight on your knee. Remember, the farther your knee travels forward, the stronger your stretch is gonna be. Make sure your heel is staying on the ground. If you find your heel is coming off the ground, you're coming out of the stretch. So that's really important here. Keep that heel pressing down onto the ground. Now we want to hold this stretch again for 1 to 2 minutes. During this time, just take some deep breaths. When we focus on our breathing, it soothes our nervous system. And when our nervous system is soothed, our joints open up faster. This is a very key step. So let's take a few deep breaths with really long exhales. And then we start our activation. Start driving the pads of your toes into the ground. Everything that was just being stretched now feels like it's contracting. We're bringing blood flow to that area and also making the tissue stronger while it's in this lengthened position. Keep driving down. See if you can slowly increase that tension as the time goes on. Relax it and see if you can just come a little bit more forward into your stretch. Take a breath. One more time. Start driving the pads of your toes down into the ground. So on this second round, see if you can ramp up that contraction a little bit more. Press just a little bit harder than you did on that first time around. Get a little bit more blood flow there, bringing nutrients to all of that tissue. And relax. And just see if you can come slightly deeper into your stretch. Millimeters counts. A little bit adds up to a lot over weeks and months of doing this. Step 2, we need to lock in that new range of motion. If we strengthen that range directly after creating it, you are way more likely to be able to keep it. And also, your ankles are not just going to be flexible, they're going to be strong. And this is so much more useful. I'm going to use this pole. A door frame works really well. All you're going to do is get into your low squat, grab onto your door frame, and you're going to pull yourself as far forward as you can. Think, how much can your knees travel over your toes? Find that max. Use your torso and your upper body strength to pull yourself forward without your heels coming off the ground. And then think chest up and let go. Try to hold yourself there. If you fall back, you're just going to gently place your hands back on and try again. It's okay if at first it looks a little bit like this. Pull yourself forward, kind of let go, you start to pull back and you grab back on. Pull yourself forward, fall back a little bit, grab back on. This is part of the process. You're teaching your body how to hold tension in this deep ankle flexion position. So you're just going to do that on repeat. Hold on to the pole, let go. Try to hold yourself there, steady. Go ahead and reset as many times as you need to, trying to accumulate at least 1 minute of time in this position, or even a little bit more as you get stronger. If you learned anything new in this video, make sure to hit the like, leave me a comment, and subscribe to get more mobility content just like this. Because this is a channel where we build both muscle and mobility. And remember, if you want to get more mobile, it's not only about stretching, it's also about building the strength. And that is how you get before and afters, like my client Colette. You have to do both.